you all who are receiving the award will come on up. Can you hear me okay? Yep. All right. You know, I have the best job in the whole company because I get the opportunity to share with you some stellar work of our folks. And we have stellar work all the time. I must say I am biased, but these folks do amazing service for the community. And we have three instances today that we'd like to share with you of patient care in particular, saving lives and property, and bringing new life into the world. I'll share with you in brief these three instances. And then after sharing with you these three instances, I'd like to introduce to you a national award winner from our team at AMR Central Mississippi. First of all, I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Angela Farlow. Ms. Farlow is a paramedic with us back in March. She and her partner, Mr. Willie Owens, who many of you may know, retired as a division chief from Jackson Fire Department a couple of years ago, happened to be on the way back from Crystal Springs after taking a patient down there, and they were coming back up, and they had just come up upon the exit for Terry. And they heard on their radio that there was a house fire in progress, just not very far off the interstate at all. And they decided, my gosh, we're going there right now to see what we can do. They arrived just about the same time as an officer from Terry Police Department, and just ahead of Terry Volunteer Fire Department. Wonderful folks, those volunteers. And Willie, while Angela stands by to render assistance with the Terry PD officer, Willie grabs the fire extinguisher from the ambulance, goes into the kitchen where the fire was, and extinguishes the blaze single-handedly. And he said it brings back memories of when he was a frontline firefighter himself some time back. We expected Willie to be with us this morning, and unfortunately he cannot. So for a few moments there, Angela and Willie turned their ambulance into a temporary fire truck of sorts, and we thought that definitely was indicative of above and beyond service, and we're very grateful for that. Next, allow me to make mention of another delivery of a baby unexpectedly in the field that is outside the hospital that a couple of our folks participated in successfully several weeks ago. Is a Mr. James Buchanan and Andrew Buchanan and James Smolinack, neither of whom can be with us today because though they are still associated with AMR, they are now working in another state. They received a call and responded knowing that there was going to be an imminent delivery, but they didn't know just how imminent it was. And when they arrived, the baby's head was already crowning, and they gently guided that little fella's head and shoulders and the rest of his body into the world, quickly assessed him and made sure he was breathing well, had all the appropriate vital signs, and took mom and the baby on to the hospital. And that was the first time that either of these fellows had delivered a baby in the field, and they performed very, very well indeed, extremely well. So we thought that Mr. Smolinack and Mr. Buchanan also deserved an above and beyond award, and we're grateful that the county concurs. And then let me also introduce to you Ms. Haley Sledge and Mr. Delmer Pettigrew, these two fellows, the two crew members here. I do that all the time. I make that mistake all the time. I say guys, and I mean male and female. But these two crew members here when you get back. Yeah, you just smack it real hard. They had a patient. They were called to a patient in Clinton a few weeks ago who suddenly had a ruptured femoral artery. If you know anything about human anatomy, you know that the femoral artery is one of the largest blood vessels in the body. You have a femoral artery in each thigh. And when you begin to lose blood internally or externally from the femoral artery, you can bleed to death in short order. And the crew responded in amazing response time. It was under 4 minutes, and arrived just ahead of the terrific EMS crew from Clinton Fire Department, who were Lieutenant Jeremy Wallace and Lieutenant Harry Horton, paramedic Dina Campbell, and firefighter Nicholas Collins. Haley and Delmer immediately assessed the situation. We've got to get this patient to the hospital as fast as possible for surgery to stop this serious bleeding. There was blood everywhere, I guess, right? I mean, blood everywhere. And they got her loaded into the ambulance quickly, real expeditious, safe transport to the hospital, and the patient survived and is back home still recuperating. The patient wrote Haley and Delmer one of the most moving thank you letters I have ever seen. And to quote just briefly from it, the patient said that Haley moved around that ambulance like a graceful aerial acrobat. They knew exactly what to do to keep me alive. I am living proof that these two people are truly remarkable. Again, we feel that these folks were worthy of the above and beyond award, and we're very grateful that you're taking time to recognize them. Also, let me introduce Mr. Derek Poole. Derek, if you'll come forward. Derek just recently won a national award from the American Ambulance Association, which is our national trade organization, an award called Star of Life. Derek won the award. Let me give you a bit of background. The program has been run by the American Ambulance Association for about 20 years, and it is given to EMTs and paramedics who, the basic criterion is the folks who best embody the spirit of the ambulance profession. Derek's partner nominated him, and he was competing with literally hundreds of thousands of EMTs who were eligible for the award. And the association bestowed this honorary title, Star of Life, only upon 81 EMTs and paramedics across the country this year. We're bursting with pride that we have a Star of Life among us. Derek, among his rewards for his efforts, and I'll give you a bit of background as to why he won in just a moment, had a company-paid trip with his spouse up to Washington, D.C. In early May, toured the Capitol, met with members of Congress, participated in a number of recognition ceremonies. Why was he singled out? Because Derek is one of those folks, among many who we have, one of those folks who takes care of our patients' needs beyond their immediate medical concerns. I'll give you a couple of examples. Do you want to give them? Okay. Give an example. Derek and his partner had to respond to a gentleman who had suffered a diabetic episode. It was in there, a big fellow, and to get to his body to assess him, they had to cut off his coat. A homeless gentleman. And when the fellow came around,